Welcome back. We're talking with New York Times columnist and best-selling author Thomas Friedman about his new book, Hot, Flat and Crowded, Why We Need a Green Revolution and How It Can Renew America. And just before the break, we had a call from Israel, from Avraham, who was asking about the hills in the flat world. And your best-selling book in 2005 was The World is Flat, so we should lead into that.
Well, I should say, Riz, this is very ironic because the caller is actually Avraham Borg, who was the former Speaker of the Israeli Knesset, former head of the Jewish Agency. And think about this, Riz. Okay, the former Speaker of the Israeli Knesset is sitting in his home in Jerusalem, calling Tom Friedman, who's on Al Jazeera, hosted by Riz Khan, shown all over the Arab world, all over the world. If you don't think the world is flat, then you're not paying attention either. But what Avram is asking is a very valid question. What I mean when I say the world is flat, I mean that the fall of the Berlin Wall, the rise of the internet, the PC, okay, and workflow software that's allowed more people to technologically come together, to plug and play, compete, connect, collaborate, and innovate than ever before. But Avram raises a good point. Okay, that's what's happening technologically. But we aren't just technological beings, okay? We are people with hearts and souls, okay? Aspirations, passions, angers. And where does that go? It doesn't go away. What I've always argued, actually in my previous book, The Lexus and the Olive Tree, really, was that, kind of the Lexus was my symbol of globalization. And the olive tree is all those passions, identity issues, religion, ethnicity, locality, that define us as people. And really what world history is about is the two interacting. And sometimes those passions, like we saw in Georgia, a few months back, between Russia and Georgia, those passions burst right through the globalization system. And when that happens, people say, oh, globalization is over. See, I told you so. And then a few weeks later, the Russian stock market tanks because people pulled out of Russia. And Russia says, well, maybe we should sort this out. And so you see the Lexus reasserting itself. And the two just are constantly interacting with one another. So we want to thank Avraham for that question.
So basically the hills will be overcome then, as far as the hills you were referring to, the bumps in the road, whether it's religion and so on, can be overcome.
Well, it's not necessarily. What I'm saying is really, I've always believed the two are interlinked. And flat for me doesn't mean equal, doesn't mean sanded smooth. What it means is that more people are now on a platform that allows them to connect, to compete, and collaborate more than ever before, but they do so as Indians, Chinese, Pakistanis, Israelis, Saudis. They still haven't lost those identities, but more of them can now interact. More Avrahams in Israel can call Tom on Riz Khan's show on Al Jazeera and be seen all over the Arab world.
Now, in your book, of course, you call it this revolution of ideas in America that makes us go green in the US. And I want to get a quote from your book about the Green Revolution. You say, the Green Revolution is similar to the civil rights movement in that it's about personal virtue, but does not stop at personal virtue. Green is still, and further on you go on to say, green is still more an option than a necessity.
For most people, people often say to me, Riz, we're having a green revolution. I like to say, really? Really? Us? A green revolution? Really? Have you ever been to a revolution where no one got hurt? That's the green revolution we're having. In the green revolution we're having, everybody's a winner. Yeah! Exxon's green, BP's green, GM's green, even they got a little yellow cap now that they put on their Hummers that are flex fuel. Yeah, that's not a revolution, Riz. That's a party. We're having a green party. And I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. I get invited to all the parties, but it has no connection whatsoever with a revolution. You'll know it's a revolution when somebody gets hurt. And what I mean by that is you'll know it's a revolution when it's like the IT revolution, when you either have to change or die as a company. We're not there yet. Now it's change your brand or die. Somebody give me a green racing stripe. Al Jazeera is going to go green. We'll do that Airbus thing in green, okay? But are you really green? Are the lights green? Not really. So we're still at the branding level of this revolution.
But isn't America kept away from that revolution by this whole fear culture, the fear of security, the threat of security, the global crisis, the war on terrorism?
No, not really. We're kept away from that revolution because we like cheap, dirty fuels. That's how we've grown all these years. And we thought we could do it forever. But what we've discovered in the last decade, basically, is those fuels that powered our growth, which we thought were inexhaustible, inexpensive and benign, we now understand are becoming exhaustible, expensive, and toxic. Toxic for the climate, toxic for geopolitics, toxic for the air. And that's the big shift that this book is about. That the fuels that have powered our growth are no longer inexpensive, inexhaustible, and benign. And therefore, we need a change.
So in 30 seconds, Tom, a call to action. What would you say? Call to action. What needs to be done by?
What needs to be done, Riz, in very short, is that I believe the greatest ecosystem for innovation the good Lord ever created is this combination we have in this country of venture capitalists, research universities, national labs, and capital markets. But markets have to be shaped. And unless you bring up the price of dirty fuels, okay, and encourage people, therefore, to invent clean, renewable, abundant, cheap electrons, you're never going to get that revolution. That's what we need to do. Carbon tax, cap and trade, shape the market the right way. If you build it, they will come.
Tom Friedman, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for being with us. On the next show, we speak with Lieutenant General William Colburn, one of America's leading military men involved in operations in Iraq. The Lieutenant General joins us live and takes your questions on the status of combat operations in Iraq. From me and the team, we'll see you next time.